Hi everyone, Emulacrum here. A couple of days have passed from the last hour-long video dropped in which we checked out the situation of Kirsche being, for a lack of better words, under attack by a mob which tried to get some of her sponsors to drop her and, for a change, actually managed to get one, in-game studios, the developers behind CrimeBoss Rocky City, to cut ties with her over some, to the best of my knowledge, claims that had barely any proof to them. Since then, there have been some developments on the situation and Rev, which has been following it, has put out another video on the matter. Let's have a look together and see what came of it.
Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. So it looks like we're getting a trilogy to this ongoing Kirsche situation. If you want full context behind everything leading up to today, you can check out my two previous videos on the subject. However, things have gotten very crazy with this cancellation campaign targeting Kirsche and her sponsors, a life ruination campaign fueled by various articles and viral tweets trying to slander her, including 3 hit piece articles produced by Vice. And now, after the effect of those, Kirsche is now making an official response with the help of this individual. Not sure who they are, but they cosplayed as Kirsche and delivered the document to their door. This contains a Google Doc that Kirsche has made responding to the situation and also making retraction requests to Vice and threatening possible legal action if they do not follow through on that request. Now, to sum up everything leading up to this video in a very simple way, there's a cancellation campaign targeting Kirsche. They're trying to get her deplatformed, they're trying to remove her sponsors, and they're doing this through hit piece articles as well as viral tweets trying to paint her as a white supremacist, racist, Nazi, bigot, all these buzzwords they love to overuse on social media.
Pretty much. We have seen the various articles like the Vice article and the hit piece on a quote-unquote sports website that somehow has a section exclusively for streamers. We have also seen some of the quite deranged individuals behind the cancellation attempt. This makes me wonder how the situation has evolved in less than 48 hours.
And unfortunately, this campaign was successful in ending one of her partnerships, and that was with the game CrimeBoss. And she was an integral part of growing this game and putting it on the map. And when people saw that she was removed, her partnership severed as a result of this ridiculous, slanderous cancel campaign, you can see the results. The negative reviews poured in. People are very mad at these developers for really having no spine and also for welcoming in the modern audience, who, by the way, is now asking for refunds because they think this game is too problematic. Congratulations, CrimeBoss, you played yourself.
Rev is absolutely right. By appeasing those people, you drive away the normal ones that can enjoy a game for what it is without the need to push IRL politics or social issues into it and get these clowns as your new audience. But, surprise surprise, the new audience will do just that. Which means that now, either all of your game needs to change to cater to them or you fucked up your relationship with your customers, driving away most of them in the process, and now you don't even get these new ones because your game has quote-unquote bigotry in it. Good fucking job in-game studios. Now you're really in a damned if you do damned if you don't situation.
Now, of course, that's not good enough for a lot of the people involved in this harassment campaign against Kirsche. You can see this Anna Vellens individual. This is a Vice journalist who's made or been the subject of all 3 hit pieces on Kirsche that have been recently released. And now that they had this successful campaign with CrimeBoss, now they're going after other sponsors, mainly gamer subs, trying to get them to end their partnership with Kirsche over misinformation and their primary sources, which is largely from Reddit posts and 4chan posts.
First, what a scummy move. As far as I know, Foxa did not openly advocate for her fans to harass people like her. Unless she openly did, which would be fucked up, she is not liable for anything her fans do. Like, are we going to pretend that in a fan base of tens of thousands of people there won't be some that take these things too far and harass people? In the same vein though, if you hold her responsible, would she and other creators with fanbases that chimed in to pile on Kirsche be also responsible for similar disparaging messages she received? Again, rules must be applied both ways. Either all of it is wrong or none of it is, unless she openly advocated for harassment. Third, this is a tribally mentality, the one Anna Vellens has. She started this whole thing, she claims to being harassed, which I can see that, so I'll believe her for now on this, and her best strategy to, what? Try and stop the harassment is to kick the hornet's nest even more by publicly going for other sponsors of the person you attacked. How does that make any sense? It feels to me more like she's doubling down on her attempt to get her cancelled before she goes in hiding like these people usually do when they start to get flack.
Yes, words of other people on various websites like that. That's the best they got. But also there's other people fuming in the VTubing scene. You can see this post that got a lot of attention saying, so much Kirsche hate has been on my timeline recently, and I have to say to that, keep it going, guys.
See, this is what I'd call openly inciting the harassment of a content creator. If Kirsche didn't say or post something like this, unsurprisingly, is their side the one that now has examples of content creators supporting and actively promoting harassment?
I love to see those racist Nazi Mayo Moon crickets get dragged to filth.
Huh?
Man, the anti-racist strike once again. This is advanced levels of racism, ladies and gentlemen. This person has to pull out a whole thesaurus to try to make up a slur to go after Kirsche with, while also trying to supposedly combat racism.
The absolute lack of self-awareness of some people. I swear to God.
Now, as these people always say, freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequences, and that's what happened here. They would lose their ambassador position with Advanced GG. And you can see they're quoting people making fun of them, saying, can you people read, I don't care that deeply, let it go. And people are clowning on this, of course, because clearly someone who constantly says over and over again, I don't care, clearly care a lot. But here's what I think they care about. I think they care about being made fun of. That's what they care about. They don't care about losing the Advanced GG partnership or ambassador position that much, because let's be real, this is not shaming small content creators. I was a small content creator myself at one point, but this person has like 6 YouTube videos and their last stream was like 6 months ago. I don't think they were making a substantial amount of money from their ambassador position with Advanced GG, so losing that was not some major financial blow, so I think that's why they're so okay with what happened.
I think it is part that, and part that now they know that people will point at them as an example of getting a taste of their own medicine but on a way bigger scale. I strongly believe that these people are but a very vocal minority. That is why that aligns with them always trying to claim to quote-unquote punch up and complaining when whoever was punched lowers their fist down on their heads. That is also why they are so quick to paint themselves as the victims when they were the ones starting messes like this in the first place. These are the tactics of someone who knows damn well that if the whole community turns and looks at them, they are utterly cooked.
However, while they were getting dunked on, they started to get a little spicy in the replies to that previous post saying this. I just learned Rev is sponsored by Advance. Thank God they dropped me, bro. Holy S, I didn't know they were working with that stinker.
Looks like these people are making crappy jobs at vetting the companies they partner with. They need to step up their game, otherwise, they end up working with the same partners as the people they hate so much. Though, quite easy to, thank God, after the fact. Also, quite convenient for them to find out that information only now. Convenient indeed.
Well, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, use code REV30 to get 30% off your total Advanced GG order. Use that link in the pinned comment and make sure to use that code REV30 at checkout to save 30%. This offer is valid until the 16th, so make sure to take advantage of it while you still can. Now let me talk about Advanced GG. What a great time to try it out or to restock with this code. So you can see we have this line of fan favorite flavors. And as always, I greatly appreciate Advanced GG. They've been an incredible company to work with for about 2 years now, and it's been a big fan favorite with you guys. And using this link in the pinned comment and Rev30 to get 30% off your order greatly helps out me and this channel in advance.
Clever point to place your ad.
And yeah, that is it for the spiel. And of course, you can see right here that Kirsche would respond to this series of tweets when she's referred to as a Mayo Moon cricket, and she would say, actually, I'm a fox. And also, let me make this clear, since people are saying this about Kirsche, I'm sure they're going to say it about me. If someone wants to talk on social media, I think anyone should be able to talk about them. Just because they're a small channel doesn't mean I'm stripped of my freedom of speech. I can respond to people, especially when they're directly talking about you. They're starting the fight, so they better expect someone to respond.
Exactly. Also, she claims that she's not racist but goes on to call white people that. Given that she put together a bunch of words to be used in a demeaning way to a group of people based on the color of their skin, I am not quite sure she fully understands what a racist is.
When they're called out like that. But anyways, let's return to Kirsche here, that original post we started off with earlier in the video. You can see her tagging Vice and saying, like some kind of secret middle of the night ballot drop. I left a little something for you. I made sure it's on par with your company's journalistic quality, so you'll take it seriously. And let's play this video, by the way. Amazing stuff, as always here. But of course, let's get into the Google Doc. And she made a very concerted effort to make this an elaborate shitpost while also seriously addressing the issue. So
just as one would expect from her. Well done, Foxu.
She begins by addressing Vice's Waypoint, which is, I guess, Vice's attempt to revitalize that platform here. But you can see, she says, an open letter from Kirsche. Hey Vice, what the F? I'm Kirsche, a VTuber, which means I stream with a digital avatar that looks like this. Down here, she says you can catch me on these various platforms. She gets lots of support and then says, I'm not a Nazi. They walk funny, did too much meth, and didn't like to laugh, and they probably would hate me and most of my friends, so how come you keep calling me one? And then she says Vice used to be a very respected outlet. I agree with that. They used to be a very respected outlet, one that I enjoyed personally. But they say, in any event, about a month ago, Waypoint, which is one of your verticals, a quasi-independent outlet, a failed gaming news site that you are trying to revive, something most people don't even know exists. Either way, it started publishing articles about me saying I'm a bigot, I'm a Nazi simp, and I'm responsible for all sorts of online harassment. It's completely untrue, of course, but also by me. Why now? I'm an anime fox woman. What could a once respectable news org want with me? It's 2018 all over again. Is Vice the PC police for VTubers? So again, Vice, what the F?
Honestly, that is a good fucking question. Vice used to publish some amazing articles a decade or so ago. I was subscribed to them on YouTube. One has to ask, when did everything start to go wrong with them?
Okay, let me break it down. I know I've covered this in the past couple of streams, but Vice isn't a subscriber yet. Maybe if I tangent about their Colombian donkey, oh my lord, video, a few more times they'll come around. I'm sure they won't, unfortunately. So here they begin with the first article. This is the headline saying, why is this gamer subs VTuber pushing the great replacement theory?
I think that talking about something is a very different thing than pushing it. Then again, sometimes it looks as if these people change the meanings of words on a whim.
And as she says, not to brag or anything, I have over 184,000 fans. You're accusing me of bigotry because one of my fans is a supposed Nazi. That's like saying McDonald's supports communism because Kim Jong-un likes Big Macs. And what she's referring to is a post where someone bought her merch, and in that post that they shared with her merch in the shot, there was also some what people claim are Nazi symbols. And now they're trying to say because of that, she is supporting X, Y, and Z.
Oh, so the argument was even more retarded than I initially thought. I thought the guy was like a major fan or someone cooperating with Kirsche at some deeper level. Turns out that it's just some random dude that bought merch. It's so stupid. Let's say I wanted to hurt her career, what would stop me from printing some unsavory imagery, get the merch, take a pic of a corner of the room and then use that to start a cancellation attempt? Or what if it was some edgy dude trying to meme? But of course, it must be a proud Nazi and she supports him, because he got her merch. Nope, still retarded.
It is an incredible reach, and they're trying everything in their power to basically lambast her over that. Now, of course, we can't really get into these articles without talking about its author, at least the author of the first two, Anna Valens. You saw her earlier. She's been tagging the sponsors Kirsche works with relentlessly on social media, and she is someone who is a massive hypocrite, and her credibility is none, as I will show right now. So recently she started working with Vice, and one of her first articles was this: these VTubers want you in their lewd game, you might want to pass. And in this case, they're talking about the LewdTuber agency VLore, right? They make two major claims. They said that their hiring process is transphobic with the biggest reach you will ever see in your life.
Let me guess, they have women voice female characters and men voice male ones. Is that it?
But relevant to what I'm talking about here is they call out one of the talents who is a lolly VTuber who obviously does lewd activities with this company since they're a LewdTuber agency. And Anna Valens says that is problematic, that it's promoting pedophilia and that this content caters to predators, all predicated on the concept that they support that clearly says Fiction affects reality.
So, you're telling me that the person that fantasized multiple times about having forced breeding centers where trans women can come and breed biological women, thinks that fiction affects reality. Look, think that lowly stuff is weird, no problem, but, at the end of the day, either all fiction can affect reality, including things like killing people, robbing cars, and selling drugs in video games, or none of it does. Or, even, we could just agree that there are some fucked up individuals out there that are fucked in the head to begin with and need way more help than just banning a lowly lewd tuber or GTA.
That's how they're jumping to this conclusion, saying fiction affects reality. That is the standard they are using onto other people to make wild accusations against them. And just like everyone else who makes that statement, they're a massive hypocrite on the subject of fiction affecting reality or not. They make that claim while also consuming very similar content themselves. Here's reposts and interactions they've had.
There we go. So, either all the people involved, including them for consuming this content, are pedos, or nobody is. I wonder which way they want to take their logic.
With all kinds of art featuring characters from Lolicon series, characters that are underage, characters that are lollies, and /or all of the above. So they consume and interact with that stuff themselves that they're using to chastise others, while also being a very vocal, long-time customer of Faku, which sells a whole category on their website of lolicon dojins. So they don't go after this company that they support, but they use that same thread of logic to attack another company, in this case Vialore, and make wild accusations against them. That's obviously very hypocritical.
I heard that clip before and already took considerable mental damage. I sure hope Rev will not play it again.
On top of that, this voice clip has made the rounds. I'm not gonna play it because I've heard it once and I've heard it too many times at that point. You
Thank fucking God.
can listen to it for yourself, or you can watch other people who reacted to it, including Asmongold, God bless his soul, going through that. But here we have Anna Vellens sharing a fantasy of theirs, where, to sum it up, it's some reality where trans people have subjugated biological women and have now forced them into breeding facilities, and now the trans people routinely R-word them, and yeah, that's the story they're fantasizing about. Again, this person says fiction affects reality and you should be judged so based on your interests. Obviously very hypocritical here again. On top of that, they have routinely expressed interest in age play audios,
How does this shit keep happening? How does it keep getting worse? How?
producing them. And if you don't know what that is, that's when one or multiple people in a group, they're role playing is an age that they're not, and take a good guess as to what ages they're typically role playing as. And then they doubled down on that claim in 2024 and said at first, professionally speaking, it was a bit of a no-go for them. But then they said, I don't have much writing up on age play, but I'm very supportive of it, having been in a mommy-daughter dynamic that was extremely fulfilling for them, and they feel like age play can be an important and healing form of play for many adults and should be destigmatized.
How's that fiction affect reality going? You know, maybe she got a point. Just look at what her fictions did to her.
I show these things for one reason only. Some people say just because they have these interests, they should be immediately discredited. I show this because it shows that they're a hypocrite and that their word shouldn't be trusted. They said, because you consume this anime stuff, you are a predator. And that's what you're appealing to with your lolly VTuber model. While they also have these fantasies of the R word, of age play, of these other things just involving anime itself.
She's doing way worse than consuming. She is producing the content. Again, if fiction affects reality and people consuming lowly content are pedos, then what does that make her when she produces age play clips that sells to people? One might say, but she plays the minor. Okay, how is that different than that lowly lewd tuber we saw before?
But now we're going to move on to one of the more egregious things that needs to be brought up as well. This article they made in 2020. This article is disgusting for reasons I'm going to explain. So Anna, in their infinite wisdom, decided it was a good idea to rig an adult toy on themselves and have it so when they're playing Fall Guys, if they bumped into another character, it would trigger the toy. So yes, I understand this is a video game, right? And it's interaction with other players, but there's no consent here. They're getting gratification through this game involving players who don't know that it's happening.
It is 100% weird, sure. Does this kind of thing need consent, though? Honestly, I don't know. Would it matter to ask for consent when anybody but Anna were having a completely normal and non-sexual experience? I honestly feel like it's fine, although it would be right there on the edge.
They're not consenting to what's happening. That's what makes this very disturbing, and what makes it even more disturbing is that Fall Guys is a game heavily played by children.
Okay, maybe this makes it way more disturbing to me. Again, I have no idea on this, but if someone has Gunner mods that alter visuals, in this case sensations, only for them, it would seem okay. Still, if this is an L take, I completely understand and I won't ever argue back. I can totally see why some people would have an issue even with that. The game's general audience is the bigger one for me though.
So I don't understand on what planet they thought this was a good idea. This is a very disturbing thing that they produced back in 2020. I produced these things to show you this is not someone who's very trustworthy. This is not someone who should have much credibility whatsoever. They're a massive hypocrite on a million different subjects. But let's finally return to the Google Doc here, okay? So you can see Kirsche talking about this first one, saying, rather than back up this outrageous accusation, the article starts off by talking about my sponsor, GamerSupps. So then they go on here and say, however, GamerSupps is in hot water with many VTuber fans due to the behavior of who else but Kirsche, an anime fox girl with a knack for sharing alt-right talking points. Kirsche has landed herself in controversy after controversy online due to her right-wing beliefs. At this point, it begs the question whether GamerSupps will one day pull the plug on the VTuber for good.
What an absolute piece of scum. At this point, just title the article, Why I Think GamerSupps Should Drop This VTuber. They may think they're subtle, they're not.
You see the way they're approaching this. This is all about life ruination. This is about pulling sponsors. This is not about spreading awareness. All it's focusing on is GamerSupps and saying, why are they still employing you? Why are they still working with you? You're so bad. You have alt-right talking points, right-wing beliefs. They don't even keep it consistent, which honestly with people like this, anything to the right of Karl Marx is probably alt-right to them. But anyways, Kirsche says, my first time hearing about this supposed controversy, literally I've been sponsored by GamerSupps since September of 2023. This is a tactic called manufacturing consensus, where activists claim everyone agrees with them to make their points seem legit. Note that this paragraph doesn't cite a single source. Yes, so they are literally just saying everyone's offended, while they're creating the narrative that everyone is offended in order to make their claims have any sort of meaning whatsoever.
I want to remind that in-game studios dropped Kirsche without fact-checking anything. The people making these articles are capitalizing on the possibility that sponsors have that level of laziness. If I was one of these companies that saw one of their associates under attack on the article and see no sources, I would instantly assume that the journalist is lying for whatever reason. This is also why media, especially the gaming media, needs a purge. There needs to be more mechanisms to ensure the due diligence of the people writing these articles. In Kirsche's case, her representative was contacted 1 hour. You heard that right, 1 hour, before the hit piece was published on the website.
And also the sources cited in the article, guess where they're from? Anonymous posts on Reddit. This is hard-hitting journalism in action, ladies and gentlemen. But let's continue on. Here's the headline of the second Vice article, saying VTubing has an elephant in the room. Bigotry. And what's their proof of this? A random 4chan post.
You know that in high schools you cannot cite Wikipedia. If that's the standard for teenagers, why is the standard for adult journalists so damn horseshit? A random dude on Reddit and a 4chan post. Are you guys joking?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we should be really focusing on as a trusted source. So, again, for the millionth time, Kirsche says, obviously I think harassment is bad, I don't do it, and I tell my fans not to do it. The suggestion made repeatedly in this article that I and my fans endorse harassment is totally false. In fact, fully half of the tweets quoted in this article are from a person who goes by Invented or Bint, who has serially harassed me for months.
1. So she didn't incite any harassment, unlike other creators on, quote-unquote, the good side. 2. This clearly mentally stable guy.
Does Anna Vellens mention this in her article? No. Do I have proof of this harassment, which I would have shared if Vice bothered to ask? Absolutely. Here's some examples. And it's like calling her Ku Klux Kirsche, saying they don't indulge in a place of cruelty. I take joy in knowing that she's burdened by hatred that should burden you in some form, if not from guilt, then from the rightful consequences as minimal as people criticizing and making fun of you on Twitter. Can I add, low-key set off the domino effect that led to a sketchy VTuber sponsor to lose thousands of dollars on my resume.
So basically he is an attention whore that is trying to bother her as much as possible and tries to take credit when bad stuff happens to her. Average well-adjusted adult behavior.
So they're proudly saying that they're going to be the main charge here, trying to get her to financially suffer and lose sponsorships. Again, if you want to know, you can look at this person's profile. Like, it's not a daily obsession. It's not an hourly obsession with Kirsche. It's a by-the-minute obsession. It is non-stop attempts to engage in life ruination. They have latched onto Kirsche, and I unfortunately suspect they're going to continue. But that's the sources being used for these articles. But they continue on and says the article doesn't mention this person that they're using as a source. And also, the article again talks about my sponsor GamerSupps and tries to make it seem like there's some sort of controversy brewing. Here's the words that were in the article. Earlier this week, independent VTuber Rin Penrose announced the end of her partnership with gaming supplement company GamerSupps. According to Penrose, her decision came to due to associations with creators whose views strongly conflict with my own, as well as a lack of communication from the company on this issue. And Kirsche says, look, I love GamerSupps and that they support VTubers from every side of the political spectrum. That's one of the things that makes them such an amazing partner. That and their awesome supplements. And then she says, crossed out here, use code REV30 for 30% off your advanced GG order. That's very kind of her. Here we have this saying, I hope I continue to work with GamerSupps, but if this effort to cancel me is successful, I have to wonder who's next. Well, that's the whole point. And people are already taking the CrimeBoss narrative and using that as fuel to keep going after more sponsors. You're giving people a feedback loop. When you as a sponsor drop someone over these cancellation campaigns, you're rewarding their insane behavior in their life ruination campaigns, and you're encouraging them even further. But
Rev is 100% right. By not keeping their editorial departments in check and by allowing this toxic waste to pass through and make it to publication, one can argue that they look like they are endorsing these kinds of articles written with bias, no fact-checking and no sources. At this point, I literally get more accurate information from YouTubers.
Now we move on to the third article where it's titled Waypoint Stands with Anna Vellens. And they show posts from other people that's now being attributed to Kirsche once again. And they're showing suggestions on Throne, a wishlist website. This is one of them, for example. They're showing this on social media saying it continues, referring to the harassment campaign they've been facing. And it's a clown suit. Okay.
They think they're witty and subtle. Cute.
But also, there was a very important discovery here made by Curry Rinji. This is really important. This is referring to the third article. There was a change. There was a change to the article the day after. And now some of the content is missing. Well, what content? As you can see here, they're going after, now also, Leaflet by the way, but they're showing these screenshots of the harassment campaign going on, but they show this right here, right at the forefront. Now, if you look at this, it says, with the name blacked out, curious, you are a man, you cannot be a lesbian, referring to Anna Vellens. And of course, this is posted in the Vor subreddit.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Interesting. But here's the problem. Look at the screenshot. Posted 1 second ago.
Every night, I can feel my leg.
Either Anna Vellens has the fastest reaction speed in the entire world, or this is possibly a manufactured piece of supposed evidence here that they likely created themselves to paint themselves as a victim of an anonymous user sending a hateful message. This is a really terrible look for Vice. It was Vice's article trying to defend Anna Vellens, and this is the type of evidence they're producing. It looks highly manufactured, if we're being honest.
This kind of makes it even worse. Why would you manufacture a comment you're probably, as unfortunate as that is, receive anyway? And why would you manufacture a fake content in a section as unpopular with masses as Arvor?
This looks really suspicious. You see this all the time on places like Twitter where people are like, I'm being harassed. Here's a hate message. And, you know, they forget to crop out certain things, or they have situations like this posted 1 second ago. This looks incredibly suspicious, but
I don't get it. They do get hate messages. Why do they feel the need to fabricate them?
Let's continue on with this Google Doc. So again, Kirsche says, harassment is bad, no one should do it, and I tell my fans not to. But then the article says everything she's going through, but I'll sum it up. Anna is being attacked for simply asking questions about certain areas of the VTubing community, which she's an active part of. And you see what this whole active part of, where they're trying to go with all this by going after big names for clout. But of course, Kirsche responds saying, just asking questions? Look, I read those articles pretty carefully. I do not see a lot of questions, mostly a lot of statements based on Reddit threads and other anonymous sources. This seems very targeted at me, and why? I'm an anime fox girl VTuber, your vice. What the F? Also, this happened in the article. The time for games is over. The irony is totally dead. We are still talking about VTubing, right? Anyway, not to be all you started it, but you literally started it. There was no controversy. No one, apart from a few anonymous internet trolls, Vice quotes in its articles, which might not even be real, at least some of the examples, was butthurt about me and what I was doing or saying on my stream until you started writing articles calling me a Nazi, and now you're calling me a bully and saying it's time to start a war. This is a 2018 cancel culture style article all over again. Or is this VTubergate, which is the phrase they're trying to use, by the way, which is absolutely embarrassing.
I guess anybody wants their something gate. A couple of weeks ago there were some grifters trying to get Gamergate 3 to catch on. Now, we have lunatics trying to start VTubergate.
Anyway, it's getting pretty tiresome. Someone says something you don't agree with. Start saying they're controversial, name drop a bunch of brands they work with, play the victim card, or rage tweet at them until their sponsors bail. This is the playbook used over and over again. And here is the final page saying, anyway, if you're just asking questions, I have one. How come in the middle of all this, Anna Vellens is asking people to buy her gifts on Throne? Surely this isn't just a big branding opportunity for someone who wants to become a definitive VTuber journo, right? Right? Seems awfully suspicious. Now here's the important part. I don't want to go to court over this, but if you keep calling me a Nazi and keep calling for my sponsors to drop me, what else am I supposed to do? Seriously, Vice, is this what you want? You want to be the PC police for VTubers. On your front page right now, you have articles about crazy, horny mud truckers and how cool it is to be goth in Ukraine right now. But my stream is too controversial. I'm asking nicely. I'm not saying that will get clipped. Please take these articles down and stop pretending there's a controversy where there isn't. I promise if you do, I'll go back to streaming and you can go back to reporting on the Berlin Sex Toy Expo or whatever it is you do. Love, Kirsche.
Beautifully written, and she's completely right with threatening legal actions. What else is she literally supposed to do with these lunatics?
I think this is a fantastic response to what's going on here. Somehow making this funny while also addressing a serious cancellation campaign being spearheaded by Vice, trying to engage in life ruination, and they just won't give up. The people involved with these posts and articles attacking her have no credibility. They're massive hypocrites, and they're trying to make a name for themselves in various ways and on various platforms, and it's so obvious what they're doing. As always, support Kirsche in this. That's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
Very good video by Rev. I agree with most of what he said, and I also recommend subscribing to his channel. As usual, a link to the video will be in the description. But before leaving, I wanted to check with you a couple of developments. First, Vice seemingly removed the articles following that Google Doc. Second, it seems that the Anna Vellens went into hiding. Lastly, there are a few VTubers that are still trying to either make the cancellation attempt still succeed or diminish their failure. I guess we will have to check in the coming days if they manage to keep it going or if it is finally over. And that is all for today. I thank you all for listening and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.